Rehabbing can be scary for brand new real estate investors because it's an unknown, and honestly, every rehab is going to be different. So that level of uncertainty and not knowing exactly what's going to happen scares a ton of people, and I completely understand that. So in this video, part 2 of our BRRRR series, I'm going to be covering the rehab side of things. I'm going to give you some general rehab strategy. I'm going to talk about how to budget and to plan for your rehab. Then I'm going to talk about how to manage a rehab like a pro, even if you're a new real estate investor. And as always, I'm going to give you a ton of free information and examples along the way, as well as free tools in the description. If you're ready to learn how to rehab the right way like a pro from the beginning, hit that like button. If you have that fear I was talking about, you're right, because this can be scary. Because you can buy a good deal in step 1 and completely screw everything up in step 2 and end up getting a bad deal and either losing money by selling it to try to get out from under it, or having a property that loses money every single month and bleeds cash flow because you put too much into the rehab. Part 1, the rehab strategy. All right, let's start this off with why you are rehabbing. Well, you're rehabbing initially to make the property livable. If you're buying properties correctly with real estate investing in general, and specifically the BRRRR method, you must buy a distressed property. And in order to make it livable by law and by code and by hopefully moral value, you need to make the property nice and rehab it. Now, aside from that, there are a couple other reasons. Number 1, you're creating the most amount of equity possible. You're buying at a discount, so there's some equity built in, but if you increase the value by rehabbing, you're creating even more equity, and eventually in 2 steps from now, the refinance step, you're going to be using that equity to pay back your initial lender. So there's the monetary side of it. Then also number 2 is good properties attract good tenants. So if you have a freshly rehabbed property that you put some time, energy, and effort and some good quality materials into, you're going to attract the best tenants. Good tenants are qualified and they can pay, and guess what else they do? They scroll through their phone on Zillow and they look for their next rental property or their first rental property. And if your property's nice because you rehabbed it well and did a good job and added nice clean hard surfaces everywhere, they're going to stop scrolling on your property and potentially apply. So you're going to attract the best tenants by making the property nice. Think about it. If you had to rent, would you rather rent somewhere that you have to live or somewhere that you want to live? I lean towards people making their houses a little bit nicer than they think so that they attract the tenants that live there because they want to, not because they have to. And I promise there's a big distinction from somebody entering, renting your house, excited about the property, excited about the condition, and ready to maintain a good property that's already nice, as opposed to somebody that this is all they can afford and they don't like it and it's not in good shape and they're not going to respect the property. So if you respect the tenant, more on that later, and you respect the property and you make it a nice rehab, you are going to attract better tenants that pay on time, don't bug you with crazy stuff, and that actually follow the lease. Plus, you get more rent. If you have a nice property that is finished nicely in good condition, you can ask a few more bucks than you could having a property that's everything outdated with just a fresh coat of paint. You're going to get more for the nicer property. All right, let's talk level of rehab. A lot of you will probably want to skimp on the rehab to stay under budget. And while I don't think that's a horrible practice, you do have to be careful. You don't want to do a complete gut rehab, in my opinion, if you're going to be tearing everything down to the studs and putting $50, $75, $100, $150,000 into the property. That is a large outlay of cash. And even if you're doing it properly, I think it makes sense to flip it. If it's under $50,000 and it makes sense, and you watch video 1 where I walk through the 2 formulas you need to use to make the property make sense, the max allowable offer formula and the cash flow formula, and it leaves less than 50 grand and it meets those formulas, I would look into rehabbing it and making it as nice as possible within that budget. And if you did not catch video 1 and you want to check it out, check up here to see part 1 of this BRRRR series. How far do you take the rehab is a question I get a lot as well, and my answer to that is a little bit further than the competition. When you're running your cash flow formula before you even buy the house, because you watch video 1 that I just sent you to or that you saw earlier, you're going to see what the property will rent for, then you're going to subtract out all your expenses. So when you're out there looking at other properties that are in the same area and similar condition to what yours is going to be in, to get that market rent number, make your house a little bit nicer than the finishes of those houses. Those houses will have pictures, so you get to see the insides of those houses, and you'll get to see the fact that maybe they have granite countertops, or maybe just Formica, or no, they don't have nicer floors, or maybe they are super updated everywhere. So judge what you're gonna get for rent by the condition of the properties that are for rent in that area. I remember when I got started, one of my very first students, Dusty, he got a coaching program from somebody else that didn't really know what they were talking about. Dusty was new, this coaching program was new. So Dusty did everything that the coaching program told him to do. He bought a house at the right price, and what he did and they told him to do was just put lipstick on it. Make it kind of nice, but not too nice. Don't put too much money into it, it's just a rental. He did that and got the property on the market, and 6 weeks later, the property had not rented. He took it off the market. I talked with him a little bit, and he made the property a little bit nicer. He went in there and spent about an extra $5,000. He put it back on the market and got 10 applications that very first week and got a tenant that lived there for 5 years, and he spent an extra $5,000 to do it. I don't remember specifically what the after repair value was. I do know he got at least $5,000 more on the appraisal by putting $5,000 more into it, so it was a wash to him. He put a little bit more into it, but it was worth a little bit more, but he was able to get a really, really good tenant, get high rent, and the tenant stayed for years. Spend a little bit extra money, make it a little bit nicer than you think, make the surface that you can replace with hard materials. We're talking granite countertops, we're talking luxury vinyl plank over carpet, so that when the tenant moves out, you clean and don't replace. There's a big difference in your wallet and your expenses when you clean versus replace. So hard surface, everything is possible. We like to say bulletproof our rental properties as well as make them nice. You could think of the bad connotation of bulletproof, but you know what we're trying to say here. Make it so somebody can live in it, have fun in it, enjoy life in it, and not ruin it. And like any rehab, whether you're selling it or renting it, bathrooms and kitchens tend to be the place where you get most bang for your buck. As far as putting X amount of dollars into the bathroom or the kitchen, you're going to get that in increased value on the appraisal, as well as that's where tenants look when they're walking through the property. They're not going to care too much about your baseboards or if your doors are hollow or solid, what type of handles you put on it. It's nice to go quality there, but if you make the kitchens and the bathrooms nice, the appraisal is going to come out the highest and you're going to attract the best tenants. All right, part 2, budgeting and planning. I'm going to cover some general concepts when it comes to budgeting and planning, but then I'm also going to go a little bit deeper and give you a few more tips and tricks. The simple one, I think, goes without saying, but I do want to say it, is get multiple bids on everything you're doing. You will be absolutely shocked at the difference in price in whatever trade you're looking into. Whether it's a roof, flooring, painting, or landscaping, get at least 3 bids on everything you're doing, especially at first. Over time, you are going to build a core base of contractors that you'll still probably bid against each other. Maybe not. We have a few trades that we don't get multiple bids on just because we know the owner of the companies and we've used them for years and years and kind of have some preferred pricing and some preferred availability. However, at first, you're not going to have those things. So for the first few years, I would say several rehab projects, get 3 bids on everything and go with the one that makes the most sense for you. It's not always going to be the lowest price. It's probably never going to be the highest. Sometimes it's the lowest if that contractor comes with good recommendations or the middle price, but you would be shocked at the differences. Like we just got a concrete quote to do a back patio. It's a decent sized patio, and I think our 3 bids were like $3,500, $5,500, and $9,500. I don't know which one we went with. I just remember overhearing that in the office. We're an established company. We don't have a specific concrete person. The few that we've used have kind of gone into doing their own rehabs and started their own companies and did their own things. However, we got a large range. We're talking a 300% range on bids. So make sure to get 3 bids and go with the one that makes most sense to you. Also, you need to create a very detailed scope of work. Now, this can be a little bit harder for you if you're new to this. I do have a rehab calculator that I'm going to give you and show you where to go at the end of this video, so hang around for that. That will show you all of the scope of works that you're going to need to have. And it goes through every single room, line by line, with all the items in the room, so you're not missing anything and you're able to create a very, very detailed scope of work. The more you communicate with whoever you have working on the property, the smoother it will go and the more everyone will be on the same page, and you will save time and do it faster. Because guess what time is? Time is money, and that's never truer than when you're borrowing money to buy and rehab a property. When you are paying somebody monthly interest or interest that accrues every single month and you're paying them at the end, the longer the project takes you, the more money it's going to cost you. So you need to create a very, very detailed scope of work and communicate that properly with all of your contractors or tradesmen that are doing the work. Again, I have a resource I'm going to send you to at the end of this video. According to NAR, the average BRRRR rehab takes 15 to 25% longer than the initial budget, and I promise you that is true. I have over 2,100 students have done over 300 BRRRRs deals. They always take longer than you would think. One way to combat that is to be organized, have a scope of work, and take action. The other way to combat that is to add some extra fluff on your rehab. Add at least an additional 10% to your rehab budget. That means if you think it's going to take $50,000 to repair and hold that property, make the rehab budget $55,000 to $60,000. Add some extra fluff in there because you're probably going to need it. And if not, and you're still able to buy the deal, that just means there's more equity because you didn't have to put as much into it as you thought and still got that value. So be conservative. Be conservative on your rehab and add some fluff. And also don't forget about the holding costs. If you have to pay a private lender at the end of your rehab or a hard money lender throughout your rehab, account for that in your rehab budget. Make sure you're accounting for the outflow of money that's going to happen when you pay interest on the money that you borrowed, when you have insurance and taxes you have to pay on the property, including utilities. So just account for all of your hard costs that you're going to incur when owning the property during the rehab process and add that on your rehab budget, plus that 10-50% fluff. Part 3, managing your rehab like a pro. There are 3 different lanes you're going to go into here. One is hiring a general contractor to basically run the entire project for you. You check on them, they run the project, and you pay them a little bit to do that. Option 2 is going to be you being the general contractor. You get all the bids, you talk to all the tradespeople, and you decide who to go with, and you hold them accountable throughout the process. Option 3 is going to be a little bit of both. You working on the project, whatever skills you do or don't have, and then you hire out the rest as well. So it's kind of a little bit of a hybrid approach with you doing as much work as you can, which will save you money, but costs you time. And then also you're running all the other trades. You can imagine which options cost the most money and take the most time. You hiring somebody to run the whole project for you is going to cost you more money. However, it could end up saving you money because they got contractors that know what they're doing, they get good pricing, and they do a lot faster. And remember what time is? Money. You managing the project yourself, if you're organized and have connections, can go smoothly for sure. Might go quick or almost as quick as the other one, having a general contractor, and you will save money on general contracting fees, but you're going to spend a lot more time on the project. Then lastly, you can potentially save yourself the most amount of money by having some sweat equity in the deal, but it's going to take time. Just know that every month you hold the project is probably costing you at least a few $1,000s in holding costs, if not several thousand. So just account for that when you're picking which avenue you want to go down. If you are paying contractors, do not give them all the money up front. Pay for milestones along the way. Maybe they'll want 25 or 30% up front. Make sure they're vetted and known, and you talk to somebody who's used them before you give them a dime, regardless of how much. A lot of them want some payment up front, maybe a payment in the middle and a payment at the end, or a little bit of money up front and then pay them when they hit certain milestones throughout the project. Have weekly check-ins with either the contractors or the general contractor to keep an eye on the progress. You are paying them good money to work on your project for you. Don't feel like you're over-bugging them. Just ask them for progress. I would talk to each contractor at least once a week to check on the progress of the property. Swing by the property as well as much as you can. Once or twice a week is probably okay. Walk around, take some pictures and some videos so you can document the progress and process so you can learn for next time, but also remember what's been done and hasn't been done, so you know you're paying for stuff that's been done. And build a bench of contractors. I can't stress this enough. You're gonna get 3 bids on your first roof. You're gonna pick one of the contractors and tell the other 2 no. Continue to build a relationship with them and look for other contractors so that on your 3rd or 4th project, you have 3 very, very qualified roofers that are giving you 3 very, very fair bids, and then you can start to build your bench. You have your A team, your B team, and your C team, because you never know when somebody either goes out of business or sells or decides to move or goes into a different line of business. Always be building quality contractors. The best way to do that is to go to your local meetups. Good contractors that know how to work with investors are going to be there. Join your local real estate investing Facebook groups, because that's where contractors hang out as well. Lastly, and most powerfully, get connections and referrals from contractors that you're using. A good roofer is going to know a good siding person. A good siding person is going to know a good window person. A good window person is going to know a good concrete person. A good concrete person is going to know a good drywaller. A good drywaller is going to know a good floorer, and so on and so forth. However, you have to treat each contractor with respect and communicate and be firm when fair with them, and they will gladly refer you to their friends or people in the space that they know do good work for good prices. If you treat that contractor horribly and don't pay them on time or don't communicate, and you ask for a referral, they're going to give you someone that they don't like or does good work, or they're going to say they don't know anybody. So take care of people in life, but especially the contractors that you're working with. If you want that rehab calculator that I mentioned earlier that you can benefit from and analyze all your deals through how much you have to rehab in each separate room and create a really quality and detailed scope of work, just simply go to the description of this video. There you're going to find a free training for me, as well as a link for you to book a call with my team to learn more about my community mentorship. It's optional, and you have to answer some questions to see if you even qualify, but also you're going to find a rehab calculator in there, or just go to FasterFreedomCalculator.com. Hopefully you learned a little bit from this. Make sure to hang out for step 3, 4, and 5 of the BRRRR Method in this series, and make sure you're subscribed to this channel for more free information like this. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like, subscribe. See you on the next one.